3 heartbeats. A rustle cuts the path, a hood rises, and a hiss threads the air. Naja, not a myth and not a camera trick. A precision engine built to end breath. In the space between blink and step, physics and neurotoxins set the rules. This meeting does not wait for wilderness. It happens at stairwells, that smell of bleach, beside sacks of grain, under a broken streetlight. One lift of the forebody, a face that widens, and the world shrinks to meters and angles. Every nerve in you asks for speed. The snake asks for space. The clock asks what you know. Tonight, we cut to the marrow of those seconds and hold them steady. What you hear next decides whether this scene becomes a story you tell or a name on a clinic log. You meet this snake more often than you think, and it helps to greet it with facts. The Indian cobra, Naja, is a medium to large elapid with a stout forebody, smooth scales that shine when dry, and a head that broadens as the neck ribs flare into a hood. Adults often reach 1.5 meters and some exceed that. Though most you will meet are shorter than popular stories suggest. Base color runs from pale brown to deep fawn to near black, with juveniles sometimes carrying faint bands that fade as they grow. Many adults show a pale spectacle mark on the back of the hood when the snake faces away from you. That mark is common but not guaranteed, so never rely on a single pattern alone. Range matters for preparation. This cobra is widespread across the Indian subcontinent and Sri Lanka, with extensions into Nepal, Bangladesh, and parts of Pakistan. It thrives from lowland fields to scrub and light forest, and it adapts well to villages and the edges of towns. Day shelters include rodent, burrows, tree roots, rock piles, compost, stacked lumber, and gaps around foundations. The species hunts mostly for small mammals, frogs, other snakes, and lizards, and it will take nestling birds when the chance arises. In this mix of prey and shelter, the animal passes close to people without trying to. Your plan is not to chase an identification trophy, but to recognize the profile quickly and make the scene safe. Body proportions help you separate it from other long snakes you might meet. The neck can flatten into a wide hood, but the rest of the body remains cylindrical and strong rather than whip-thin. The tail tapers evenly instead of narrowing into a long wire. The head is a little broader than the neck at rest, with round pupils and a smooth snout. When relaxed, the neck is not sharply distinct. When alarmed, the forward third of the body lifts and the ribs swing outward to form the hood. As noted in the intro, that is a defensive display. Your task is to reduce pressure, not to test nerve. For quick checks, compare it with a few common neighbors. The monocled cobra carries a single round mark on the hood, rather than paired eye spots, and it overlaps in the east of the range. Survival guidance is the same in both cases. The king cobra grows much larger and has a longer, narrower head and a steadier hood posture. It eats other snakes more than rodents and spends more time in forest and dense vegetation. The common crite is another major medical concern in the same regions. It is slimmer, lacks a hood, often moves at night, and can be confused with harmless banded snakes. Treat all small, glossy banded nocturnal snakes with respect and do not handle them. The Indian rat snake is long and fast, with a narrow head and large eyes. It may flatten its neck, but it does not form the classic hood, and it is non-venomous. These comparisons exist for one reason only. A few sound cues help you avoid rash handling and focus on clear exits. Color and pattern vary widely with locality. Coastal and humid zones often produce darker animals. Dry zones can produce sandy tones. Juveniles may show neckbands or saddle marks that fade with growth. The spectacle on the hood can be crisp, faint, split, or missing entirely. Albino and pale individuals are rare in the wild. Because color is plastic, train your eye to look for structure and posture. Hood, head scale texture, and the way the snake lifts the forebody tell you more than paint. Understanding senses gives you better reads on intent. Cobras do not hear airborne sound the way we do, but they sense ground vibration through the body. They see movement and contrast clearly enough to track a person within a few meters, especially when the head is raised. They sample scent with frequent tongue flicks and pass odor cues to a vomeronasal organ in the roof of the mouth. Fast hand waves, foot shuffles, or sudden light beams at close range add pressure and can freeze the snake in place. Slow, steady motion and a calm outline tell the animal that the pressure is easing. Season and time of day shape encounters. In many parts of the range, this species is most active in warm months, and during the rains when prey is abundant, early evening and early morning are common transit times near homes and fields. On very hot days, it selects retreat sites that stay cooler and more humid than the surface. After heavy rain, burrows may flood and push snakes into sheds, stairwells, and stacks of tools. That is when a careful sweep with a torch before reaching into clutter pays off. Step with deliberate placement of feet, and give stacked materials a short tap before lifting. Reproduction concentrates movement for a season. Males may range more widely when seeking receptive females and will follow scent trails. The female lays a clutch of eggs in a humid, sheltered cavity and may remain nearby for some time. This is one of the few snakes known to guard a nest. A nest site can be a compost heap, a burrow under a slab, or a debris pile in a quiet corner. If you find hatchling shed skins and fresh track marks around such places, step back and let the site be until trained handlers can assess and relocate if needed. Diet links the snake to human activity. Grain draws rodents and rodents draw cobras. Livestock feed, poultry litter, and unsecured garbage create corridors that lead straight to homes and shops. Simple controls make a large difference. Store grain and feed in sealed bins on stands. Raise lumber and pipes off the ground and seal gaps under doors. Clear dense ground cover along walls and keep stacked items tidy, so that prey cannot nest and the predator has less incentive to patrol the same route. These are identification aids by proxy, because you cut down patrols by the very conditions that attract them. A word on temperament? Cobras prefer to avoid conflict because a bite wastes energy and risks injury. Most individuals you will meet are adults, hunting for small prey, or moving between shelter and water. They want a path out more than a fight. Very young snakes can be nervous and quick to hood, while large adults often hold posture and watch. That is not boldness so much as a calculation that stillness makes threats easier to track. Your job is to keep the exit obvious and reduce pressure, which you will do in later steps. Identification is not a hobby detail. It is a survival tool that guides your first seconds of decision-making. Know the body plan that produces the hood, the range of colors that can mislead your eye, the neighbors that cause confusion, and the places where people and cobras cross paths. With that picture set, you step back sooner, call the right help faster, and keep others away while the snake finds its way out. That is the quiet win you are aiming for each time this animal turns up near people. Habitat and behavior decide where you meet this snake and how it responds to you. The Indian cobra tolerates a wide range of conditions across the subcontinent using forest edges, scrub, grasslands, rice country, canal banks, rocky ground, and the fringes of towns. It adapts well to human mosaics, where shelter and prey are close together. Within these landscapes, it favors dry, tight cavities during the day and moves most when temperatures and humidity favor hunting. Cobras often keep to the ground, but will pass through low vegetation and along walls. Many records come from areas close to water where amphibians and rodents are concentrated. Holes in embankments, tree hollows, rodent burrows, termite structures, rock piles, and gaps under foundations all serve as retreats. Urban data make this more practical. In Delhi, a multi-year survey and rescue dataset recorded 15 snake species in settings that people use every day, including homes, drain networks, streets, offices, and schools. The Indian cobra accounted for nearly a fifth of all individuals documented, and incidents peaked with the monsoon, especially in July and August. Rain shifts prey and floods burrows, pushing snakes into new shelter sites and across open ground at times when people are active. Those are the weeks to step with care around stacked materials, kickboards, and door gaps. And to use steady light in storerooms before reaching into clutter, think of microhabitat as a map of risk and refuge. Where grain is stored and waste accumulates, rodents thrive, and the cobra follows. Compost heaps, lumber stacks, coiled hoses, and pipes lifted a little off the ground make linear cover that links one hide to the next. Peri-urban irrigation canals and field edges give both water and hunting lanes. In hilly towns, stone retaining walls and stairwells with cavities create perfect day shelters. The species uses many of the same choices in wild country as well, favoring root tangles, rock cracks, and mammal dens that offer a cool holdfast and a narrow mouth the snake can defend. These patterns repeat because they serve the same needs: stable humidity, temperature buffering, and quick exits. Daily activity shifts with heat and rain. In warm months and during the rains, movement increases at dawn and dusk, with night transits common near human structures. In cooler or very hot spells, activity compresses into windows when ground temperatures and humidity allow efficient hunting without overheating or desiccation. After downpours, filled burrows displace snakes into sheds and stairwells, raising the odds of close contact. That is when slow scanning, careful foot placement, and controlled door openings matter most. Local encounter records confirm that weather drives many of the spikes that people notice, so plan your routines with that in mind. Behavior under pressure is consistent. When a cobra perceives sudden approach or confinement, it lifts the forebody, flares the hood, fixes its gaze, and hisses. The display conserves energy by warning rather than striking, and it protects the head by presenting a larger, more intimidating profile. Studies of hooding cobras describe this suite of signals, along with bluff strikes and acoustic elements, all designed to deter without the costs of contact. Treat the display as a request for space. A steady diagonal step back reduces pressure more clearly than a fast retreat that includes stumbling and sudden gestures. Stillness is part of the repertoire. If you pause without closing the gap, many cobras hold position and track you rather than flee through obstacles that might trap them. If you open a corridor away from your stance by moving people and pets aside, the snake often de-escalates, lowers the hood, and slides into cover. Similar behaviors are reported in other Asian cobras, including the Caspian and monocled cobras, which differ in range and marking, but share the same logic of energy conservation and head protection. Knowing that this is a common playbook helps you read the moment without guessing at intent. Cobras rarely climb high, yet they will rise through low shrubs, step onto low platforms, and pass along rough walls if those paths connect shelter to shelter. They cross shallow water readily and use damp margins as hunting routes when frogs are abundant. You do not need to be a herpetologist to use this information. Keep stacked items tidy. Raise stored materials off the ground on solid stands, seal gaps under doors and along thresholds, and maintain a clean perimeter near walls so that prey do not nest and predators do not patrol the same line each evening. These small changes alter the microhabitat in ways that reduce routine crossings. Season sets expectations for where the snake is likely to rest. In the dry season, deep cavities hold humidity and stay cooler than the surface. In the rains, high ground under slabs, steps, and stacked goods become safer than flooded burrows. In rural areas, bundas and canal edges offer both shelter and prey access. In towns, service corridors, meter boxes, and the sheltered side of stairwells fill the same role. Encounter studies from Indian cities repeatedly link monthly rainfall and humidity to spikes in sightings, which is why monsoon maintenance of clutter, grain storage, and drain covers pays off as a safety practice. Social context matters. During the season when males range to locate receptive females, you may see more transit at unusual hours and across atypical routes. Nest guarding has been noted in this species, so sensitive corners such as compost piles or quiet debris mounds can hold an adult longer than usual. In these cases, the best tactic is distance control and scene management. While trained handlers assess, the larger point is that even special cases still follow the same habitat logic of cover, humidity, and exits. If you manage those, you reduce surprise encounters across wild edges, farmyards, and courtyards alike. Finally, a word on what the snake is not doing. Chasing is not a foraging strategy here. Straight-line movement toward a person typically reflects a bid for the same exit you are blocking. If you sidestep to clear that path and step back on a slow diagonal, the snake takes it. Defensive bluff strikes are part of the repertoire across cobras, and head-focused displays are meant to control your attention while the animal assesses escape. Reading habitat and behavior together lets you meet the species with a plan. Scan the places that hold cover and prey. Move in ways that lower pressure and keep corridors clear so the snake can leave. That is how a hazardous encounter turns into a clean retreat. Venom is the part of the story that can turn a close call into a medical emergency. The Indian cobra is an elapid with short fixed front fangs and a high-pressure venom system. A strike may be a quick puncture or a brief hold with one or more rapid bites. Some defensive bites deliver little or no venom, yet there is no safe way to judge that at the scene, so treat every bite as serious. The survival lesson is clear. Know what venom does, learn the early signs, and act before breathing fails. Cobra venom acts mainly on the nervous system. Toxins bind at the junction between nerves and muscles and block the signal that lets muscles contract. Early signs are often quiet and easy to miss. Eyelids start to droop. The voice turns nasal, a sip of water is hard to swallow, and small facial muscles tire, so the expression looks stiff. Vision can blur and double as the eye muscles weaken. As the dose takes hold, the head feels heavy, neck flexion fades, and the chest and diaphragm work harder for each breath. Without support, the pattern can slide toward respiratory failure. Local effects vary with depth, location, and dose. Many cobra bites hurt at the skin with burning pain, redness, and swelling. Blisters can form. Some bites cause tissue injury at the site, especially on hands and feet where skin and tendons are tight. Severe local damage is more likely after a long hold or repeated bites, yet it can follow a single quick strike. A puncture near the eye or on the face needs urgent evaluation because swelling can grow in places that the airway depends on. Bleeding at the puncture is usually minor. Onset is not the same for everyone. Dose varies with snake size, how long the fang stayed in, and the number of strikes. Site matters because bites closer to the head and trunk give venom a shorter path to the nerves that control breathing. Children and small adults are at higher risk for faster progression because a similar dose spreads through a smaller body. Movement, heat, and exertion increase blood flow and speed delivery, which is one reason why calm and stillness are protective. Alcohol and hot drinks do not slow venom and may mask warning signs. Simple field checks help you pick up trouble early. Ask the person to look upward without lifting the head and watch for drooping lids. Count out loud on a single breath to gauge breath control. Ask for a firm press of the chin to the chest and hold it. Listen for pooling of saliva and watch for difficulty swallowing. Ask about blurred or double vision, tingling lips, a metallic taste, or weakness in the neck and shoulders. None of these replace care, but they tell you whether things are stable or trending toward danger. The strike has a logic worth knowing. A cobra does not need to coil to reach. In a forward stance, it can strike roughly a third of its body length. A large adult can land a bite on an ankle from a short distance, and can tag hands that dart forward to block or push. Clothing slows fangs less than many expect, though thick leather and rubber do better than thin fabric. After any close display, assume a strike is possible until you have stepped back and broken line of sight. Bite marks can mislead. Fangs are short and the punctures can be fine, especially on calloused feet or dusty hands. A single arc of teeth or a scrape without obvious points does not mean a harmless nip. Look for 2 small punctures set a short distance apart, but remember that one fang can miss or fail to break the skin cleanly. Washing away surface venom is safe when done gently with clean water. Do not cut the site, do not suck venom, and do not apply ice. Those mistakes harm tissue and delay effective care. Systemic signs beyond the nerves can appear. Nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and early sweating reflect stress hormones and the body response to injury. A feeling of dread or sudden fatigue is common and does not help you judge the dose. Weakness that climbs from the face to the neck and shoulders is a clearer sign. If speech becomes slurred or the person cannot keep the head lifted, you are moving from subtle to significant. In that phase, the risks are aspiration and respiratory fatigue, and the person may look calm while oxygen levels fall. Time course guides decisions. Many severe cases show clear progression inside the first few hours, with eyelid droop and swallowing difficulty among the first reliable signs. That does not mean you are safe if nothing shows at the 10-minute mark. Continued calm and observation are part of survival because some cases advance in steps. When antivenom is given by trained staff, improvement in nerve muscle function can follow as toxins unbind and are cleared, but that process takes time. Expect a period of close monitoring before full strength returns. The eye is a special case. This species is not a routine spitter, yet contaminated fingers can move venom to the eye during panic. Immediate, gentle rinsing with clean water helps, followed by evaluation. Because venom in the eye can cause intense pain and inflammation, keep hands away from the face after any contact with a cobra and wash skin with clean water as soon as you are safe. If eye pain, light sensitivity, or reduced vision, follow a close encounter. Seek assessment without delay. A few myths need clearing because they waste time. Dark blood or a lack of severe early pain does not mean a bite was harmless. Tight cords, tourniquets, deep cuts, cautery, and electrical shocks cause injury and add nothing useful. What helps most before care is stillness, reassurance, protection of the airway, and direct movement toward a facility that can provide antivenom and breathing support. The details sit in the first aid section later, but the principle belongs here. Context sets dose and risk. A quick defensive tap may deliver less venom than a sustained bite, but you should never count on that. Multiple small bites can add up. Bites through thin skin on the face and fingers tend to evolve faster than bites through thick soles or heavy leather. In the wet season, when snakes patrol close to homes and sheds, bites to feet and ankles are common, which is one more reason to watch your step and use steady light. In fields and workshops, hands that reach into clutter should be kept far from view. Use tools and distance rather than bare hands. The goal of this chapter is not to frighten, but to train your eye and ear for the signs that matter. Eyelid droop, trouble swallowing, a nasal voice, weak neck flexion, increasing effort to breathe, and double vision are the cues that say move with urgency. Pain and swelling at the site are expected and do not change the priority. Calm voices, low light, and reduced movement slow the spread of trouble while you reach care. Read the body in front of you and act on these early signals at once. Avoiding an encounter starts long before a snake appears. Prevention is about how you light, store, clean, seal, and move in places where Naja and people overlap. The goal is simple: reduce rodents and clutter that invite patrols. Close the small gaps that become entry points and adopt movement habits that keep your hands and feet out of blind spots. Start with lighting because many encounters happen at dusk, night, and early morning. Carry a reliable headlamp, plus a handheld torch so you can scan near and far at the same time. Aim the headlamp slightly down to avoid washing out contrast, and sweep the handheld beam along edges, steps, and gaps before you commit your weight. In buildings, fit steady lights at stairwells, storerooms, and courtyards. Train yourself to pause at thresholds and scan. Do not reach into dark corners or under tarps until you have lifted and looked with a light. Footwork matters. Step where you can see the ground. On trails and in farm lanes, step on the near side of a log. Look, then step onto the top, then over. In long grass, use a stick to part, cover a step ahead, and keep strides short so you can stop quickly. Avoid sandals and go with sturdy boots that cover the ankle. In known snake country, add gaiters or thick trousers. At night, walk slowly. Leave space between walkers, and keep dogs leashed, so they do not rush into cover and push a snake back toward you. Hands are the second common trigger. Do not lift rocks, bricks, or boards with bare fingers under the edge. Use a tool and lift toward you so the far side opens first. Do not reach into burrows, drain openings, compost, or stacked pipes. If you must move stacked materials, shift from the top layer with a hook or rake. Give a few seconds for any animal to move, then continue. Never push your hand into a gap you cannot fully see. Clutter, control, and storage are the big levers at home and work. Grain, feed, and garbage draw rodents. Rodents draw cobras. Store feed and grain in sealed bins on solid stands, at least a hand's width off the floor. Keep sacks on pallets with enough space to clean under them. Raise firewood and pipes on racks. Keep grass trimmed along walls and clear a clean strip so you can see tracks and shed skins. Close gaps under doors with firm sweeps and weather strips. Fit grills over floor drains and utility openings and keep them maintained. Water and shelter guide patrols. Fix leaking taps and hose joints that keep soil damp and attractive to frogs and rodents. Store buckets dry and upside down. Keep troughs and pet bowls in open areas with clear lines of sight. Move lumber piles away from walls and raise them on frames so rats cannot nest. Avoid dense ground cover right against foundations. Plant shrubs with clear space underneath so you can see through. Reduce piles of sheet metal, tiles, and debris that create cool, tight shelters. Monsoon and wet season routines need extra care. Burrows flood and snakes shift to higher ground, including steps, plinths, and stacked goods. Before the rains, clean drains, fit covers, and seal door bottoms. During the season, scan floors on entry, keep interior lights steady, and check behind items that have been moved. After heavy rain, treat sheds, stairwells, and storage rooms as likely transit points until they dry. Pets and livestock change the risk map. Dogs that range freely often find snakes and get bitten. Keep dogs leashed or contained near fields and at night. Train a strong recall and reward avoidance of snake scent and movement. Keep poultry litter and feed areas clean. If you use rodent bait, place it in secure stations so it does not harm non-target wildlife. Better yet, combine trapping with habitat control that denies rodents cover and food. Children need clear, simple rules that stick under stress. Teach them to freeze on sight of any snake, then to step back slowly while keeping the animal in view. Show them how to call an adult without shouting or running. Make a household plan for moving people and pets indoors while a corridor is left open for the snake to leave. Save contact numbers for local wildlife rescue teams and share them with neighbors, so calls are fast and coordinated. Worksites and farms benefit from routine sweeps. At the start of a shift, walk lines along walls, stacks, and drains with a light. Tap stacked items before moving them. Keep harvest residue and chaff away from living areas. In canal country, be cautious on boon days and at breaks in embankments where burrows and holes are common. Avoid resting on the shaded side of walls and haystacks without a scan first. Keep ladders, planks, and pipes stored flat or secured, so they do not form long tunnels. Urban settings call for simple retrofits. Fit door sweeps on ground-level entries. Install fine mesh on vents and service chases. Close the gap at the bottom of gates with a firm strip. Cover inspection pits and meter boxes. Keep stairwells clean and well lit and store items off the floor. In apartment blocks, coordinate with building staff to seal refuse rooms. Maintain drain covers and keep emergency contacts posted where residents can see them. Camps and field stays have their own rules. Choose tent sites away from thick ground cover, rodent runs, and rubbish. Keep tents zipped and shake bedding before use. Store food in sealed containers and waste in sealed bags. Keep boots off the ground on a chair or rack and shake them before putting them on. Use a small light beside the tent door so midnight exits do not start in the dark. Do not leave sandals outside overnight in wet season. Transport and vehicles can be surprise shelters. In rural yards and construction sites, snakes escape heat by entering open pipes, coils of hose, or engine bays of parked machines. Cap pipes, coil hoses on high racks, and check under vehicles that have sat for days before you reach underneath. Keep doors and windows screened on workshops, and keep them closed when not in use. Social preparation closes the loop. Map the local rescue and response options before you need them. Share simple posters that explain freeze, step back, clear a corridor, and call the right help. Run short practice walks with family and staff so the steps become habits. Set a rule that nobody tries to capture or kill a snake. Most bites happen during those attempts. Distance and scene control work better and cost nothing. Finally, accept that prevention is a stack of small habits, not a single trick. Good light, cautious hands, tidy storage, sealed gaps, and calm movement turn risky days into routine ones. You will not remove snakes from the world. You will make your part of it harder to patrol and easier to scan. That lowers encounter rates across wild edges, farmyards, and city courtyards and gives both people and cobras what they need most, when paths cross, time and space to move away. You are on a narrow trail when the path bends and a hood lifts ahead. The correct sequence is simple. Stop without a jump. Fix the head and your distance. Map a clear exit for the snake. Then grant it with a slow diagonal step back. Do not turn your back fast or run. Your job is to reduce pressure, keep sure footing, and keep the group calm while the cobra takes the opening. As noted earlier, the hood is a warning display. Treat it as a message to make space. Keep a buffer of 3 to 4 meters. Strike reach is roughly a third of body length, but you do not work close to limits in the field. Create a margin you can hold while moving. If the snake lies on the trail, step back along your track until the ground widens. If it is crossing, freeze and let it pass. Most cobras choose stillness while they evaluate. When the path is open, they lower, turn, and leave. Angles beat speed. Backing away in a straight line can keep you blocking the gap the snake prefers. A slow diagonal opens a corridor across the terrain. Keep shoulders square and steps even so you can react to loose stones or roots. If you carry a pack, keep it on and high so balance stays centered and your chest stays free for breath. Terrain decides tactics. In tall grass, do not step off the path into cover you cannot see. If the cobra holds ground, backtrack to a clear patch and circle at distance. On rocky slopes, do not hop from stone to stone with eyes fixed on the snake. Choose the low, flat line. On ridges and ledges, do not attempt to pass. Yield the path and reverse until there is room for the animal to withdraw. Near streams, expect patrols along the margins and give the bank a wide berth. Light control reduces surprises at dawn and dusk. Aim your headlamp down and sweep edges and gaps with a handheld beam. Do not blast a sudden high light at close range. A steady beam lets both you and the cobra see routes without glare. In rain and overcast, slow your pace. Wet rock and leaf litter are slick. Groups need one voice. The lead person sets pace and calls the steps. Everyone else stands still and stays quiet until motion is called. Dogs stay leashed and behind the last person. The common failure is a chain of sudden moves that block exits from 3 sides. Clear the sides, open one corridor, and hold position while the snake leaves. Do not attempt relocation with sticks, nets, or packs. Do not throw soil or branches. Do not try to pin the head. Those actions turn a display into contact. Use time and space. If the snake remains in your path after a few minutes, extend the gap and wait again. At junctions, warn others and choose another route. Photography tempts hikers into bad positions. Keep a long lens or leave it. Digital zoom does not change distance, and footsteps do. Let the frame grow only because your lens changes, not because you step forward. Stay upright rather than crouching near the ground. If you must shoot, keep the diagonal retreat working and stop as soon as the snake begins to move. Clothing and gear are passive safety. Sturdy boots with ankle cover reduce puncture depth on low strikes. Thick trousers or gaiters add a buffer. Trekking poles help probe cover a step ahead and keep posture steady on loose ground. Wear gloves only for work that requires them. Carry a bandage, a splint, clean water, and a way to call for help. If a bite occurs, use stillness and limb support and move toward care as outlined later. Camp routines prevent close contacts. Choose a site with clear ground, away from rubbish, rodent runs, and dense cover. Keep food sealed and waste secured. Shake clothing and boots before use. Close tent doors and keep gear off the ground on a chair or rack. Use a small light near the entrance so night exits start with a clear view. If a snake passes near camp, gather people and pets. Open a line away from shelters and hold position until it leaves. If the snake moves toward you, assume you are blocking its exit. Sidestep to clear that line and keep backing away. A straight approach is almost always a bid for the same cover you are standing in front of. If the animal continues once the route is open, increase your diagonal and add distance until it turns off. The aim is a clean break, not a close look. Narrow bridges and culverts need special care. If the cobra is on the span, do not pass within a short distance. Step back to solid ground and wait. In canal country, watch embankment edges where burrows open. Do not sit on shaded sides of walls or haystacks without a scan first. Heat changes both players. On very hot days, cobras rest in shade and may hold position longer. You may feel pressure to move fast to reach water or cover. Resist that urge. A controlled retreat uses less energy and reduces the risk of a fall. If someone trips within range and the snake lashes forward, keep priorities simple. Freeze the feet, do not grab the animal, and do not swipe at it. Call a clear word, and once the snake recoils, help the person to steady ground without dragging them through the same space. If a bite occurred, keep the limb still and supported and start toward care. Panic adds motion and blocks exits. Children in wild settings need practiced cues. Teach a freeze word and a slow step back on a line. Assign each child to an adult, so there is no confusion about who gives directions. Keep snacks and toys off the ground so small hands do not reach into cover. When the snake has left, reset before you continue. Scan the ground you will step on next. Check that the group is together, and mark the place in memory for later reporting if needed. If the trail is narrow and visibility poor, shorten spacing and slow pace for the next stretch. The encounter is not a failure. The failure would be to rush onward without adjusting to the lesson the terrain just gave you. The wild meets you on its own terms. Your control comes from distance, angles, footing, and calm. A cobra that hoods is asking for space. Give that margin with a diagonal retreat, open a clear corridor, and hold your ground without drama. The animal will take the exit. Your day will return to routine. That is the outcome you train for and the one you can repeat each time the path and the snake meet. Villages and farmyards bring cobras into daily routines. Grain, water, shelter, and small mammals sit close together, so paths cross in courtyards, sheds, and field edges. Your plan starts with scene control and ends with a safe exit for the snake. When a hood rises near a house or a hand uncovers coils in a sack store, the steps are calm and clear. If a cobra is in a courtyard, freeze the scene. Call people and dogs behind a doorframe or fence and keep voices low. Move children inside the nearest room. Pick one person to direct while everyone else holds position. Do not throw sticks or pour water. Do not try to pin the snake under a bucket. These moves corner the animal and raise bite risk. Find the corridor the snake can use to leave and open it by clearing buckets, stools, and low obstacles. Keep several meters of space between you and the line of exit and do not block it again as the animal moves. In houses, the goal is isolation without contact. If the snake is in a room, do not chase it under furniture. Clear the room, close doors to other rooms, and reduce light so the animal settles. Place a rolled towel along the bottom of the closed door to limit movement while you call trained help. If there is a direct exit to a yard or lane, open that door wide and leave the path clear. Stand well back at an angle to keep sight without blocking the line. Many intrusions end once a corridor is obvious. Storerooms and granaries are high risk. Rodents tunnel behind sacks, and cobras follow. If you must work in such spaces, wear boots and use a hook or rake to shift the top layer first. Lift sacks toward you so the far side opens. Never put fingers beneath the lip of a sack or crate you cannot see into. Keep pallets off the floor so you can scan the gap beneath with a light. When cleaning, move items slowly and pause after each shift for any animal to move away. If a snake is found, reverse out the route you entered and secure the door. Fieldwork has its own patterns. In rice country, cobras patrol bundens and levees, where burrows and frogs are abundant. Step on the near side of a berm scan. Then step up and over. In tall crops, keep strides short and part stems with a stick before entering a dense row. Harvest days bring hands near ground level, so use gloves that give grip without trapping fingers. Rest on clear patches rather than in the shade against a wall of stalks. Water points concentrate risk. Wells, pump houses, and canal banks gather frogs and rodents. Keep the ground trimmed and clear around taps and troughs. Store buckets upside down. Fit covers over sumps and drain openings and repair gaps where pipes enter walls. When you open a pump house, pause and light the floor and corners before stepping in. In the wet season, add time for this scan after heavy rain. Livestock enclosures collect food and waste that support prey. Keep feed in sealed bins on racks and clean spillage daily. Raise poultry housing on stands. Keep litter dry and clear vegetation under the structure. Control rodents with sealed bait stations and traps, rather than open poison. Move hay and straw onto raised racks instead of leaving piles on the ground. When shifting bales, use a hook, not bare hands. Keep narrow alleys around pens tidy so nothing forms long tunnels. Bathrooms and service areas often have floor drains and open chases. Fit firm grills and check them after cleaning. Keep doors closed to rooms that open directly to yards. At night, use steady light when entering. Step in, stop, sweep the floor and edges, then proceed. Train this as a habit so it happens even when tired. Night demands extra margin. Many rural bites occur when someone steps outside without shoes and light. Set a rule that every night trip carries a torch and footwear. Place a small light near thresholds to improve contrast. Dogs should be leashed after dark or kept in a secure run to prevent them from cornering a snake and getting bitten. If the snake is trapped in netting, mesh, or a half-closed door, do not attempt rescue. The animal will be painful and reactive. Keep people back, reduce noise, and call trained help. If the snake is entangled near livestock, move the animals calmly away rather than trying to lift the snake out. The priority is to prevent contact while minimizing further injury. Neighbor coordination shortens incidents. Share contact numbers for local wildlife rescue teams. Agree on a simple call-out phrase that clears a lane and keeps onlookers behind a line. One person should meet responders at the road and guide them in, while others keep doors closed and pets contained. Good coordination reduces the time a snake spends in a courtyard and lowers stress for everyone. Children need steps they can follow under stress. Teach them to freeze when they see any snake, then to step back slowly while keeping it in view. Practice calling quietly for an adult without running. Show them safe places to stand inside the house while a corridor is being opened. Rehearsal makes these steps automatic. Killing attempts cause many bites. A hoe stick or brick turns a warning display into a fast strike. A dead snake can still bite through a reflex arc if the head is handled. Distance and scene control give better results. Sometimes a snake will hold in a cool corner of a cowshed or under a step while crowds gather. The right move is to shrink the crowd, reduce noise, and keep a single observer at a safe angle. If trained help is delayed, you can shape the space so the exit looks better than the holdout. Remove clutter from the chosen corridor and shade the rest. Do not poke or prod. Patience and clear exits do the work. Seasons add detail to the plan. During rains, check sheds and stores at the start of each day because burrows flood and new shelters are chosen overnight. During dry heat, expect snakes to rest in the coolest rooms and under slabs that hold moisture. At the start of the breeding season, males travel more and may cross open spaces at unusual times. The response is the same. Step back, open a route, and hold position. If a bite occurs, shift to stillness and transport as outlined in the medical section. Immobilize the limb, keep the person calm, and move straight toward care. Do not waste time on cutting sucking cords or ice. Assign one person to manage transport and another to inform the facility. Keep the group focused on distance and safety while the scene clears. The farm and the village are busy places. You cannot turn them into sterile zones, and you do not need to. Set habits that keep hands and feet out of blind gaps, keep food sealed, drains covered, doors swept, and paths lit. Teach a calm freeze and a slow step back. When these habits take hold, most close contacts with cobras end as simple stories rather than emergencies. Urban intrusion is about how a wild animal navigates man-made space. Cobras enter towns through edges first. Storm drains, culverts, empty plots, and scraps of scrub-link suburbs to fields and canal networks. Inside the grid, the snake follows the same rules as in rural yards. It looks for tight shelter, steady humidity, and prey. Your safety plan is to detect early, isolate cleanly, open a route out, and keep human traffic off that route until the animal leaves or trained help arrives. Start with the moments when people first notice a snake in a building. A shopkeeper lifts a cardboard stack and a hood lifts with it. A guard unlocks a basement and sees coils behind a compressor. A resident opens a bathroom door at night and hears a hiss from the floor drain. In each case, the first seconds matter. Freeze your feet. Call out once in a calm voice to halt others. Step back on a slow diagonal so you are not blocking the nearest exit. Close doors behind you to keep the animal contained on a single level or in one room. Lay a towel tight against the bottom of a door to reduce gaps. Switch to steady lights so both you and the snake can map routes. Corridor management is the core skill in apartments, offices, and schools. Pick one direction for the exit and clear that line. Pull bins and trolleys to the side to stop them becoming traps. Keep 3 to 4 meters between you and the corridor and do not let onlookers line both sides. One person should direct, and everyone else should hold position. If there is an exterior door in view, open it wide and move away. Most intrusions resolve once a clear path exists and foot traffic stops. Service rooms and basements deserve special care. These spaces are cluttered, cool, and loud, which makes a fast start dangerous. Stop at the threshold, light the floor and the base of walls, and wait. Do not step over coiled hoses or lift covers blindly. If you see a snake, close the door softly, block the gap, and put a simple notice outside that keeps others away while help is called. Ventilation fans and pumps can mask sound. Keep voices low so directions carry and the animal is not startled into tight machinery. High-rise buildings add vertical routes that are easy to control if you think in zones. If a snake is seen on a landing or in a stairwell, clear that level and the one above, then close fire doors to confine the space. Keep one lower exit open and free of people so the snake has a clear descent. Do not try to chase it up or down stairs. If the building has CCTV in common areas, use it to confirm which direction the animal moved, so you do not reopen corridors behind it. Bathrooms and kitchens have floor drains and utility chases. Fit firm grills and keep them in good repair. If a snake is seen in such a room, do not flood it with water or chemicals. Flooding forces the animal into pipes and into rooms you cannot isolate. Keep the scene quiet, block door gaps, and open the nearest direct exit if one exists. Use a torch to scan before you move any appliance. If the animal is in a cupboard or under a unit, leave it and step back. The point is to stop line of sight pressure and give an obvious escape route. Parking garages and workshops bring a different set of hazards. Open bays and long sight lines make it tempting to try to hurt a snake with a broom or a board. Do not do that. Clear vehicles and people from the line to the nearest open exit and hold position. If the snake slips under a car, do not reach underneath. Open the doors on the side away from the animal so it does not feel cornered and wait for trained handlers. In loading docks, stack pallets with gaps that allow a clear visual sweep and keep the floor free of loose straps and shrink wrap that tangle wildlife. Construction sites should bake snake-safe steps into daily routine. Start shifts with a sweep along walls, stacks, and service trenches. Cap pipes raise coils of cable and hose and keep rebar off the ground on racks. Store sheets and boards flat rather than in leaning piles. Fit covers on sumps and pits. When crews open new ground, expect displaced animals for a few days. Post a simple plan that states freeze, clear a corridor, call the site lead, and contact wildlife rescue. Make it clear that no one attempts capture. Schools and hospitals require speed and calm. Move people away from the corridor section that contains the animal. Close to doors to create a quiet zone. Assign one person to keep the exit clear and another to meet responders. Keep children and patients seated in adjacent zones and avoid loud alarms unless you need a full evacuation. The aim is to keep stress low while the route out stays obvious. Elevators call for a strict rule. Do not drive a snake into a lift car. If a sighting occurs near an elevator bank, hold cars at another level and close lobby access on the sighted floor until the animal has moved. Direct people to stairs on the opposite wing and keep the preferred exit corridor clear. The same logic applies to escalators and moving walkways. Power them down if a snake is near and isolate the area. Vehicles bring their own set of decisions. If a snake enters a parked car, open the doors on one side only and stand well back. Give the animal time to exit. Do not reach under seats or into the engine bay. If a snake is seen moving under a bus or truck, keep the area clear and call trained help. Drivers should not climb underneath to check. Heat sinks and tight gaps turn a simple removal into a risky one. Urban night work needs discipline. Security staff, cleaners, delivery teams, and residents often operate when snakes are active. Give these crews a clear checklist. Wear closed shoes, carry a torch. Scan floors and edges before entering storerooms or plant rooms. Lift toward you rather than pulling items toward your legs. Keep doors closed on rooms that open to courtyards, unless someone is present. Report rodent sign so that bins, waste rooms, and refuse yards are kept sealed and clean. Communication is a safety device. Post contact numbers for local rescue teams in lobbies and service rooms. Train building staff on the steps to isolate, open a route, and hold position. In neighborhoods with frequent intrusions, share short messages that remind residents to use shoes and lights at night and to keep pets from chasing wildlife. A calm routine shared across a block reduces the number of times a snake ends up trapped against a gate by a crowd. A few special cases deserve a clear line. If you find a snake in netting or adhesive traps, do not attempt release. Keep people back, reduce noise, and call trained help. If a snake falls down a ventilation shaft or a light well, do not lower loops, hooks, or bags. Reduce access to the well mouth and wait for responders with proper gear. If a snake is injured by a door or a vehicle, it may be reactive. Distance and calm are even more important then. One line from earlier bears repeating. A defensive hood is a request for space. In the city, you answer that request by isolating a room or corridor and opening a path to an exit. You keep people and pets off that line, you resist the urge to prod or chase, and you let time and design do the work. When buildings and crews are prepared, most urban intrusions end with the same quiet outcome. The snake leaves, the doors close, and the day resumes. First aid starts with control of motion and breath. The safest move after a suspected Indian cobra bite is to stop, steady the scene, and turn fear into a simple sequence. Reassure the person, call for help, and keep the body as still as possible. Note the time of the bite. Remove rings, bracelets, tight footwear, and watches on the affected side before swelling starts. Keep bystanders quiet and pets away. The aim in the first minute is to slow the spread of venom through the lymphatic system and to prevent preventable breathing problems. Lay the person down on their side or back with the head supported. If the bite is on a limb, immobilize that entire limb straight and still with a splint and a couple of firm cloth wraps. A folded magazine, a plank, or trekking poles can work as a splint in the field. Tie above and below the site, not across it, and make the wraps firm enough to limit movement without causing pain, tingling, or color change. Keep arteries open and skin warm. Do not elevate the limb and do not massage it. If you are trained, a broad pressure immobilization bandage can be added for neurotoxic bites on limbs to slow lymph flow. Start the bandage at the bite, then wrap the entire limb with even snug pressure that does not stop pulses at the wrist or ankle. Finish with a splint to keep joints from moving. Avoid this method if swelling is rapid or severe, or if pain rises sharply, and do not use it on the head, neck, or trunk. If you are not trained, skip this step and rely on splinting and stillness. Breathing comes next. Talk to the person and listen for a clear voice. Watch the chest rise. Ask for a slow count on one breath and see how far they get without strain. If eyelids start to droop, if the voice turns nasal, or if swallowing becomes hard, you are seeing early nerve effects. Prepare to assist. If breathing becomes shallow or stops, begin rescue breaths with a barrier if you have one. Tilt the head only gently. Lift the chin, pinch the nose, and give slow breaths just until the chest rises. 2 breaths first, then 1 every few seconds while you organize transport. If the person vomits, roll the whole body as a unit to protect the neck and clear the airway. Keep movement minimal during transport. Carry rather than walk. If you have a car, lay the seat back or use the rear bench and keep the limb supported and still. Do not let the person run or ride on a motorcycle. Keep talking in a calm voice. Offer small sips of water only if they are fully awake and swallowing easily. No alcohol and no sedatives. Cold packs, ice, heat, and strong topical chemicals add harm and no benefit. Cutting, sucking, and commercial suction devices damage tissue and waste time. Cords, wires, and tight bands are dangerous and can cost a limb. If the eye is contaminated after a close display or by touching the face with contaminated fingers, start gentle rinsing with clean water immediately for several minutes while you prepare to move. Keep both eyes closed after rinsing and cover them lightly if light hurts. Seek assessment. As noted earlier, this species is not a routine spitter, but secondary eye exposure happens in panic. At the facility, hand over the timeline. Report the time of bite, the site, the first symptoms you saw, and any changes on the way. If a safe photo was taken from a distance, show it. Do not bring the animal. The team will monitor airway, breathing, and circulation. Give oxygen if needed and decide on antivenom. For this species, antivenom is used for progressive neurotoxicity, trouble breathing, or significant systemic signs. It is given by trained staff with readiness to treat allergic reactions. Expect close observation even if early signs settle. Pain control should be conservative. Paracetamol can help. Avoid aspirin and ibuprofen because they can complicate bleeding and wound care. Tetanus protection is part of standard care if not up to date. The bite site should be cleaned gently and dressed, and hand and foot bites should be monitored for compartment issues if swelling becomes tense. Nurses will check eyelids, voice swallowing, and neck flexion repeatedly, because these are sensitive indicators of change. If help is distant, build a field plan that matches the hours you must travel, shade, and rest. Keep the person warm if they are chilled and cool if overheated, but avoid direct sun on the face. If you are alone with the person, prepare the vehicle before you move them so you limit transfers. Confirm fuel and route. Call ahead to the facility to say you are coming with a suspected cobra bite and to describe the signs you are seeing. Ask where to arrive and who will meet you at the door. Simple coordination shortens delays. A compact kit improves outcomes in rural and urban work. Pack 2 wide elastic bandages, a roll of gauze, a triangular bandage, a rigid splint or foldable SAM splint, nitrile gloves, a face shield for rescue breaths, a small flashlight, and a marker. The marker lets you write the time of bite, the time symptoms changed, and the time a bandage was applied directly on the skin away from the site or on the bandage. Add a laminated card with emergency numbers and the names of facilities that stock antivenom. Keep this kit where people actually work, not buried in an office. Know the red flags that change tempo. Early drooping eyelids, a weak voice, trouble swallowing, double vision. A heavy head or obvious increasing effort to breathe mean you move now and cut conversation to essentials. Bites on the face and neck escalate faster. Children and small adults progress faster at the same dose. Multiple strikes, long holds, or bites through thin skin increase risk. Any combination of these factors is a reason to seek advanced care without delay. A few decisions are often misunderstood. Washing the site with clean water is fine if it does not delay immobilization. Scrubbing harsh chemicals and strong disinfectants are not. Marking the border of swelling helps staff track change. Photographs of the site taken once, not repeatedly, can help if the person will be moved again. Do not eat, smoke, or drink alcohol on the way. Do not give anti-snake tablets or herbal mixtures. Do not attempt to provoke bleeding at the punctures. None of these steps help, and several cause harm. Expect a quiet watch, even after antivena. Improvement in nerve muscle function may come in steps over hours. If breathing fails, assisted ventilation can carry a person through until toxins clear from receptors. That is why transport and facility choice matter. Small clinics may stabilize and then refer to centers with ventilators. Ask staff early where care will continue if breathing support is needed and help make that transfer fast and smooth. When the person is stable, think about the site where the bite occurred. Do not return to kill or capture the snake. Return only to fix the conditions that raised the risk. Light the path, seal the gap, raise the sacks or lumber, clear the drain cover, and store feed in sealed bins. The safest first aid is the one you never need because the next person does not meet the same hazard. The sequence is not complicated. Stillness, immobilize, monitor breathing, move with calm speed to care, and avoid harmful myths. Keep the limbs straight and supported. Keep the airway clear, keep notes short and useful. Hand over early. These steps work in forest edges, farm lanes, workshops, and stairwells because they match the biology of the venom and the way help is delivered in the real world. Train them, share them, and practice them so that when seconds count, the moves are already in your hands. Other snakes that share ground with the Indian cobra demand the same calm control, with a few tuned moves that match their biology. Your aim is not to become a field guide, but to know enough to avoid bad guesses, and to shape a scene that stays safe until help arrives. Start with the monocled cobra in the east of the range, where Naja carries a paired mark on the hood. This species often shows a single round mark. In markets, canal towns, and rice country, the two species use the same shelters and prey. Treat the hood and hiss as a firm request for space. Step back on a slow diagonal, and open a corridor exactly as you would with the Indian cobra. The key habit change is eye care. If any cobra display throws fluid toward your face, drop your chin, close your eyes to slits, and back away. Rinse eyes with clean water as soon as you are safe, then seek assessment. The core plan does not change, only your attention to the face and to gentle rinsing if needed. Northwest of the main range, the Caspian cobra occupies drier country and can hold ground with a tall posture when cornered. Give more distance and take extra time to clear a route, rather than trying to pass in tight alleys or rock gaps. The strike is still a short reach compared with its body length, but the stance can look taller and feel bolder. The rule stays the same. Distance, angles, and patience beat speed and force. The king cobra is another matter of scale. A long olive or brown animal with narrow pale bands in some regions, a longer head, and a deep gaze. It hunts snakes and moves through forest edges, bamboo thickets, and plantation shade. The female can build and guard a nest mound, which is rare among snakes. Your survival adjustments are threefold. First, increase standoff beyond your cobra buffer and never try to press past on a narrow trail. Second, keep the group tighter and quieter so you do not form a semicircle that blocks exits. Third, in nesting season, avoid brush piles, leaf mounds, and low bamboo tangles that could hold a mound. The display still means give space, only the radius grows. Kraits change the time of risk. The common krait, the banded krait, and their close relatives are largely nocturnal. They lack a hood and often look glossy and slim with white or yellow bands or narrow pale rings. Many bites happen at night in homes where people sleep on floors or reach into dark corners. Pain can be minimal at first, even when danger is high. The survival answer is to shift habits after dusk. Sleep on a cot or bed rather than on the floor. Tuck in bed nets. Keep shoes by the bed and use them for every trip outside or to the bathroom, and carry a torch for all-night movement. If a suspected krait bite occurs, use the stillness and immobilization sequence and move for care quickly. Soft, early signs like eyelid droop and a nasal voice are enough to escalate. Russell's viper shares farm lanes, field edges, and village yards across large parts of the subcontinent. A heavy brown snake with chain-link ovals down the back and a loud hiss when disturbed. It can strike fast and often stands its ground in open country. Local effects are strong, with pain and swelling common, and the venom can disrupt clotting. The plan shifts in two ways. First, never sit or rest in shaded ground right against haystacks, walls, or bundles without a scan, and do not reach blindly into burrows or drain holes. Second, If bitten, avoid pressure bandaging and focus on splinting the limb and transport because tight wraps can worsen local injury. The rest of the sequence remains unchanged. The saw-scaled viper lives in dry scrub, stony fields, and semi-desert. It is small, quick, and often rubs its coils to make a rasping sound when threatened. At night, it can lie on warm paths where its pale pattern is hard to see. Your counter is simple: closed shoes after dusk, a habit of lighting the ground before each step, and a refusal to sit on warm road edges without a sweep. If a bite occurs, expect local pain and swelling early. Immobilize, support, and move. Pit vipers add an arboreal angle. Bamboo pit vipers and their relatives rest in low shrubs, walls overgrown with creepers, and steps near forest edges. They have a clear triangular head and a heat-sensing pit between the eye and the nostril. Many are green, which blends with foliage, and they hold quietly until a hand reaches too close. Tactics are to scan low branches and stone edges before gripping, to use gloves and tools when clearing brush, and to teach a pause before sitting on shaded steps in monsoon towns. Bites often cause strong local effects. The first aid is stillness and limb support with no cutting, no ice, and no tight cords. Transport to care for monitoring and anti-venom decisions. Non-venomous lookalikes round out the list. The Indian rat snake, the checkered keelback, and other water and field snakes can flatten the neck and startle people into risky moves. The key is to keep the rule that you do not handle any snake. You do not need to settle an identification on the spot to be safe. The correct action is the same. Grant space, open a route, keep others back, and call trained help in yards and buildings. Regional edges add a final note. In the northeast, ranges overlap with Southeast Asian spitting cobras. In the far northwest, dry country brings you into contact with the Caspian cobra and with vipers that are not present farther south and east. When you travel between regions, update your habits with locals who handle wildlife. Ask about night movement, floor drains in bathrooms, and places where sacks and pipes are stored. Simple adjustments from people who live with these animals every season cut your risk more than any long list. Across all these species, a few patterns recur. Hood and hiss mean distance and a clear corridor. A narrow, glossy snake at night in a house calls for strict footwear and lights. Heavy, earth-toned vipers in farm country call for scans before you sit or reach into shadows, and for quick transport without pressure wraps, if bitten. Arboreal vipers call for eye-level checks beforehand, grip creepers and steps. The medical logic remains steady. Immobilize, monitor breathing and voice, do not cut or suck, and move to care. As noted earlier, pressure immobilization is for trained hands on limb bites from neurotoxic species, not for bites with strong local tissue injury. This chapter is not a catalog. It is a set of tuned moves that take the guesswork out of close calls with snakes that share ground with the Indian cobra. You do not need to be perfect on names. You need to read posture, place, and time of day, then pick the safe action that matches. When you keep your distance, control lines of movement, and break the habit of reaching into blind gaps, you carry the same calm from forest tracks to field lanes and city stairwells. That calm is the skill you are building for every snake you meet. Knowledge beats fear when it is specific and practiced. You started with a hood and the beam of a torch and a few hard seconds where panic tries to lead. Now you have a sequence. See the animal clearly, manage distance and angles, and give a path out. That simple loop turns a close call into a controlled exit in forests, fields, and city courtyards alike. We met the Indian cobra on its own terms. You know the profile to watch for, the way the hood hiss, and lifted forebody signal defense rather than pursuit, and the places where this species and people most often cross. You have habits that cut risk before a snake ever appears. Light first, hands second. Storage tidy, drains covered, gaps swept. These are quiet decisions that pay off every single day. When the encounter happens, you know the moves. In the wild, hold a wider buffer and retreat on a slow diagonal that opens a corridor. In villages and farms, freeze the scene, move people and dogs back, isolate rooms, and let a single clear route lead out. In towns and buildings, control doors, block floor gaps, and keep one exit obvious while you keep bystanders off that line. Time and space do the heavy lifting once pressure drops. If a bite occurs, your priorities are steady. Stillness, limb, support, and breath. Watch for eyelid droop, a weak voice, trouble swallowing, and increasing effort to breathe. Carry rather than walk. No cutting, no sucking, no cords, no ice. Move to care and hand over a simple timeline so anti-venom and breathing support can be given by trained staff. The steps are short because they are meant to be remembered. You also carry tuned adjustments for neighbors that share this ground. Night rules for crates. Extra standoff for king cobras. No pressure wraps for heavy viper bites with strong local effects. A quick scan at hand and eye level for arboreal vipers near steps and creepers. The core stays the same. Distanceangles.com. Safety is not drama, it is routine. Walk with light. Keep feet and hands out of blind gaps. Store feed and grain so it does not build a rodent trail. Close the sweep on a door. Share rescue numbers. Practice the freeze and retreat with family and crews, so it is muscle memory. Respect gives the snake what it wants most as well. A way out. If this helped, share it with someone who works outdoors or keeps a yard near canal country. Subscribe for more field-tested guides. Add your questions and experiences below, and tell us what you want covered next. Stay sharp, stay calm, and give space. The path will be yours again in a moment.